Can I get? I can understand why people like goats, you know, doing this and that, but there's too much of the stuff here with this. Look at your damn hands. Do something. Oh no. All those things get added back. Not that one. This is over. It's just graveyard things first and then this monster. God. And that one. Graveyard banishment. Spell trap. Then you're gonna trigger the distraction effect. I was gonna bounce my monster. Here's the problem here. If they know how blacklings work. Should have forgot about that. Oh well, I'll actually be able to make use of it. There you go. Yeah, I should have picked this one. That would make sense. I know you want to hit my banishment. Negated though. I can't use the tuna part of it. Okay, great. And now he gets to do that. Yeah. God damn it. Not right now. I want to get the damn win. Yugioh. I felt like in the duel. Yep. That seems strange. Let me take the button. Sinking. Yeah, that's a tough decision. No, I need some negation in there. What the fuck? Why didn't that work? Oh, it needs to be a black one. Oh, here we go. Fucked up again. Should think 4 would be to make. Wow, is that really good? Okay, it's because of everything else, yeah. All the chords plus 6. And of course, style bounce. Oh, you see a problem. That one? No, someone used. No, it's no, never mind. Still has one. Some. Ow. Is it because of this one? Yeah, that's why. Okay. Come on. Now he's gonna stop the stunning. Is it not technically an activated effect, I guess? Does that just persist? Or does that have to be on the field for that to apply? I don't know. Ooh, really going your debt, man. Only 3 more times, well, 2 more times, thankfully. Like, okay, finally. Magic machines. Yep, there's the achievements. Beginner no more. Duel and standard duel. The achievements are popping. Massive spells and traps. The rare achievement, Necromancer. 750 or more monsters from the graveyard in ranked events. Slash events. Another one. Burn it all. Thank God I got a Blackwing that does this stuff. Okay, this one it was more. Weird. Do we have to get out? That's strange. There should be other ones. Always at. Well, okay, that's really good. I can do this sword mode. Okay. Declare an attack on a monster 100 or more times. Oh, it doesn't count the other progress, and I still have to do. Oh, I still have to do. I have to do platinum on. Okay, I guess I'll get the preemptive stuff for platinum on PlayStation and do it here. There's certain types of achievements, and the tribute didn't work. Oh, I guess I technically didn't tribute at all, so that's gonna be triggered later. Gonna do a lot of. Gonna be doing heal, I guess, for the time to get it. Wasn't that simple. Did I finish this one? I like these duel stories. Yeah, let's learn about vengeance. They didn't turn out that good or something. Dark Dead Vengeance. We're in the concrete jungle behind the lines. Buildings The people hustle and bustle among the sleepless city lights. How that was a long time ago. A darkness that shadowed the sky above turned the world into one that would never see morning come again. And with the darkness came monsters that threatened the peace of the city, the Vendreads. The Vendreads started as corpses that crawled out of their graves, except their bodies had transformed into something grotesque. Without a single shred of their memories from their past life or any will of their own, they would wander the streets at night and attack any living human animal in their path, guided only by their instinct. No firearm, tank, or any sort of modern weapon could defeat these creatures. What's worse, anyone and anything that was unfortunate enough to become a victim of the Vendread would soon become one themselves. The Vendread set was like a match thrown into a forest, spreading fear like an uncontrollable blaze. As the undead continued to rapidly multiply, those remaining of flesh and blood scrambled fruitlessly for a solution. The Vendread horde soon made their way to the hastily built wall that served as the sole line of defense for the living. Among them was a young man who had also lost his life to the undead. He was no different from the other Vendreads, wanting the same shared city with the same minuses. But as luck would have it, one day, as the young man continued to drift about mindlessly, he came across a young woman who had been carried off by the Vendreads. His mind had long fared what it should have, but as his eye caught the locket that hung from the woman's neck, something stirred within him. Memories of his past life began to flood into his head in a great crashing wave began to reach floor. He knew the woman with the pen before him. She had once been the love of his life. His mind twisted and turned with desperate sadness as he realized that his love was no longer of this world. That sadness soon boiled over into a seething rage and hatred for the angels that loved her of life. As his mind dragged itself out from the bodies of its undead depths, a flame of hatred ignited towards him. A violent burst of emotion tore his body apart with unbearable pain as it began to transform and rebuild itself into something much stronger. When the transformation ended, the man steadied his even breath and stood up. He took the locket and hung it around his neck so he could keep the memory of his brother close by. Then he spoke into the silent night. I swear I will vanquish every last one of these walking corpses. It's the last thing I'll do. And thus, the new agent of vengeance was born. He was the Vendread who would hunt the other Vendread. Vendread Slayer. This was the beginning of the lone Avenger's fierce battle. I always like these wars. But they have to give more story. That's gnarly. Even in that day, where we struggled bravely from within the city walls to keep alive, the Vendread horde that pursued the living, pushed against the barrier like crashing waves, showed no sign of ever stopping. The number seemed to only be going up to continue to groan and wail deep into the night. Day after day, the tale was too much. The citizens were finding it harder and harder to keep sane under these horrific circumstances. But then, a single shadow loomed over the horde. Shadow darted forth and cut down the Vendread with a single swoop, quick as lightning. He didn't stop there. Any Vendread that dared stand in his way would be stabbed, hit, kicked, and knocked down. They would have their limbs and lying flesh torn, twisted, and ripped from their bodies. And once the Shadow had finished hunting down every last walking corpse that plagued the city wall, he disappeared back into the darkness as quickly as he had appeared, not even sparing a single moment to look back at the crowd he had just saved. But the Vendread Slayer was not interested in being a hero. All he wanted was revenge, and he would not stop at anything to destroy any Vendread that entered his line of sight. Regardless of his intentions, the fact was that he had swooped onto the scene like a bolt from the blue and defeated all the Vendreads. To the survivors, he was their single ray of hope. The word of the mysterious undead hunter began to spread quickly through the city. As the nights continued, he too continued his battles. However, the Vendreads weren't going to stand for being hunted down so mercilessly. Carnage, the undead began to change. Up until now, the humans and animals that turned into Vendread had stayed about the same physical size as they had been when they passed. That was one of the main reasons survivors had been able to keep the horde back with just their average human strength. However, now that the Vendreads were being pursued by a relentless execution in the form of Vendread Slayer, they began to feel threatened. Some of them even began to merge with let's create a bigger Vendread. Few words could describe how grotesque it looked, and people began to name it after certain multi-head beast of legend. Silas? Or Chimera? No, that makes sense. Followed it to Vendred, Chimera. Creature with threatening the safety of the people beyond the wall for many more nights. Possesses the power and strength of numerous Vendred, and even the Slayer was beginning to have trouble fighting it. Every time about, the Slayer would only just manage to fight it off. It was never successful in completely silencing it. However, the more they fought, the more weaknesses were uncovered. The Slayer found that within the Chimera, they lay a core that governed all its actions. So they had charged at the core and threw all its strength into it, destroying it. Battling with the Chimera crumbled into a pile of raw and flesh and bones. First, it seemed that Slayer duel or die attack had ended things once and for all, with their relation of animosity that was the Chimera, but the tragedy would only further unfold from here. The clash of the undead would only escalate further and further into something beyond human comprehension. All the survivors could do was pray that one day the Vendred would be vanquished and dawn would break once more over their city. And this is a lot of storytelling. Gotta get these solo duels in. It's got some ritual thing to it, but kind of a bit off though. What makes a Vendred deck unique? It's a deck based around ritual monsters. If you choose a non-ritual Vendred monster on your field to tribute for a ritual summon, the ritual summon monster gain additional effects. Consume the power of the dead and the Vendred will grow even stronger. So it's kind of like the insects, digital bugs, and the ZWs and things. Vendred origin. What's up? And win. It has to be on the field though. He has a cool story. I haven't used Vendred, I don't know what I'm doing. Zaculus on. You really want to just be banishing more and more? Hero mages. Jaden's card. Vendred origin, which will summon a ritual monster from the graveyard. Even Vendred can add sense of the graveyard. Once it is a ritual summon, maybe which again. Only tributes. In the field, ritual summons and switch to banish. Vendred. Defense of all monsters on the field by harm. The effects seem kind of lackluster though. It's a kind of a hard way to build. It's kind of one of those situations. That bash was. Isn't it actually a... Oh, I think he has a wave monster, isn't he? It's not in here though. Oh, only one of them will get it. What's the point of banishing though? It's for 300. Although there's something I got from banishing them. I didn't set that. Yeah, it has to be smaller though. Oh, only Venge it. Oh, it doesn't only get that from a monster? It doesn't even benefit from the field spell, too. It's like, what does it do with it? Ah, they're classic. It's too slow. Another one? I can't get the synergy going with this card. It doesn't have a summon animation. I didn't get the... I want the perfect balance of Cyber Dork and Cyber Dragon. Kind of a tricky one though. tried to program the only. You got Sakura's armor, but they can't activate it because they know it's useless. But they play it as if they could. AI problems. We can join this whole once and videos. Not the best. What the? Really crazy. Let's keep. Well, I guess yeah. I'll pretty much say let's read the full story. After a long and bitter struggle, the Vengered Slayer would finally destroy the Vengered Chimera threat. No one could predict that this defeat would only bring more dreadful threats. One day the Slayer felt a menacing presence like never before. Overflowing with an unabiding grudge, he immediately headed towards it, determined to find the source. He saw that the wall had been broken through, even though it had held up well against the Chimera's threats. While on the scavenged armored vehicles that were taking the brunt of the attacks were stored and countless people were found slain. Vengered Horde had a different leader now. It was much larger than the Chimera had been. It was clad in heavy armor, enveloping it with a sick and ominous aura of resentment. It was the Vengered Battle Lord, and it had been born from the clutches of all the Vengers that the Slayer had defeated. A collective hunger for vengeance against the Slayer had combined into the threatening force, and wherever the Battle Lord went, leave a trail of death and destruction behind. It was one lone fire's wish to eradicate the Vengers against the Horde's desire to crush the executioner. Their rage came to a head, and thus another crash to the death began. The Battle Lord's might was far more tremendous than the Slayer could ever have imagined. Not only could it absorb the surrounding Vengeance, but also those who had lost their lives at the scene. The Battle Lord had a steady supply of fodder and only grew more powerful as time went on. No matter how strong the Slayer's desire for revenge was, his blade stood no chance against the Slayer. He pushed and tried everything he could to gain the upper hand, but in the end he was overwhelmed by the Battle Lord's immense strength. Now the story ends though. The Vengered Slayer lay limp on the ground, wounded and bad like he was a ragdoll that had been flung aside. The Great Battle Lord picked up the small hunter in its enormous hand, and just as it had done to the other Vengers and the fallen victims, it reached its other hand towards the Slayer's chest to absorb his power. The Slayer's consciousness was sinking into nothingness fast, but then the faint glint of his rocket caught his eye. That tiny gleam was enough to remind him that his mission was not yet over. His conviction renewed. The flame in his heart lit up once more. No wound on his body could stop him now. So he had mustered all the strength he had left, and right before the Battle Lord could absorb his powers, he plunged his hand into his Venger's chest and ripped out its core. Holding the core, the Slayer began to feel a new surge of energy. His body was absorbing the hateful power that the Battle Lord had possessed. The tides were turning. With the Battle Lord's power flowing into the Slayer now, the body started to crumble. However, just as the Slayer began to think the fight was finally over, the core struggled for a swallow, brushed against the Slayer's pendant with his stray hand. The Battle Lord's remains, along with the Vengers that surrounded him, began to transform. They all began to take on the form of the woman that the Slayer cherished in his previous life. With that single touch of the locket, the core had sensed the remaining dread of the Slayer's love and sought to restore his morale with it. So it flows. Was this a dream? No, this was no dream. He shook his head, trying to remind himself that the love of his life was already gone. This was a nightmare that was trying to ensnare him. He yelled his fist in anger, dared he scum disgrace the memory of his beloved. As his burning rage surged and finally exploded, he found himself transforming into a new form. With stronger powers, he had become the Vengered Executioner. Or Executor. I keep saying Executioner. And that's how we get more of the new support. And this duel will teach you about stuff. Declared by opponents. Okay. Good using. Let's be. That'll be it for now. Again. Yeah, it'll finally be even. And take a break. I need to get the Dark Magician stuff before it goes away. 23 days left. I know they're adding more support, but I want all I can get. Okay, about 1,000 more. I'm gonna go check on the friend. That's good.